Copenhagen, spring 2015. Warm air and fresh winds. People are eating soft ice and children are splashing in the fountains. It's a nice day. 3 old people are smiling on a bench in the city centre while a civil servant, his tie flapping over his shoulder, is running towards Parliament as if he's late for work. All is right with the world. Meanwhile, a large, thick hand is tapping on the handrest of an old-fashioned deep chair. The owner is mostly hidden in shadows. Someone approaches. "It has begun, my lord. The seed has been planted. It will take years to blossom." The owner of the hand taps his fingers a few more times before chuckling mirthlessly. "I have nothing but time. See to it that the seed is kept watered." "With blood, my lord." "What else?" "As you command, my lord." Meanwhile, the most delicious scents of spices and food mix in the kitchen of restaurant Shahi in the middle of Copenhagen. Tables are already scarce as the excellent and affordable cuisine is a local favorite. By the sink, a young girl suddenly feels violently ill and bends over, hitting her head on the ceramic sink, rendering her all but insensate. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Copenhagen Dreaming. This is our new Changeling the Dreaming campaign, and what you've just experienced is the opening sequence, which will happen before each of these sessions, albeit not exactly the same every time, of course, but it should give you an idea of what is about to happen. This is the first of our Chrysalis series, so it's a series of short little one-on-one sessions where each player gets to experience what happens the first time his or her character becomes aware of the fantastic world of the Fae. This is known to the Kithane, as they are called, as the Chrysalis. Much like a butterfly will go through a chrysalis from becoming or to becoming a butterfly from having been a larva or a caterpillar. Much the same thing. And today we are chrysalising Chris's character.
Oh, the alliteration. I love it.
The alliteration is awesome.
Always.
Yes.
So yes.
And needless to say, we go right back to Restaurant Shahi in the center of Copenhagen.
Yes.
Where
and that
your character has just had an awful a spell of dizziness and nausea.
Yes. And it was such a good day up until that point, and then suddenly this poor young girl suddenly feels bad, and almost renders herself unconscious, if not giving herself a concussion. This is Yasmin Ritu Khatri.
Yes.
Whose parents are the owners of the aforementioned restaurant.
Yes. So, for the record, what does she look like?
I'd say that she had stumble over my words there. She has Indian features. Her father is an Indian immigrant who arrived back in the country some years ago, but Yasmin was born there. And her mother is Danish. So while she has certainly got... you can tell she has Indian features to her. Her skin is of a lighter shade than her father's, but not as light as her mother's. She's got a face built for a beautiful, shining smile. Got very dark, but very sort of gentle eyes. Long, sort of middish brown hair, not quite light, not quite dark. And not much makeup. She's not of an age where that sort of thing matters to her. And obviously, when you're in a kitchen, you don't want to worry about things like how you look. You've got to be
exactly.
but be prepared to work and just get stuff done.
Exactly.
So obviously she's not. Normally she's seen with a smile. She's not smiling at the moment. Nausea and concussion does that to anyone, but
Yes.
otherwise, yes. And she's at this, I believe. Well,
Go ahead.
in terms of age, it's not quite certain whether she's around 13, 14 years old.
Yes, thereabouts. Okay. Well, as I said, you just smacked your head on the ceramic sink, and the world is spinning rapidly. And the thing is, your parents are both in the restaurant itself. They're both out there. So none of them saw this accident happen. And you're in a very considerable amount of pain, but you're also so dizzy that you kind of fall to your knees, and you realize that you probably busted open something, because you can feel that it's bleeding. It's not heavy bleeding, but it's there's a little bit. And while you're sitting there, the whole world it won't stop spinning. But while it is spinning, you're also seeing colors and strange creatures in the kitchen. It's very, very brief, but there are these very bizarre little creatures in the kitchen running across the floor. You haven't seen anything quite like these things before. They're animals of some kind, but you don't know what they are. But clearly they shouldn't be in a kitchen.
I think anything close to Yasmin in terms of where she is?
Yes, they're within they're within relatively easy reach. You might need to move a few steps, but that's about it.
Sort of in a daze and a bit frightened by what is happening, she sort of tries to crawl her way along the ground, clutching her head, and tries to shoo some of these strange creatures away. They're not supposed to be in the kitchen. This is a sanitary environment.
Exactly, it's unhygienic having animals running across the floor of the kitchen in a restaurant. What the hell? And they do register that she's there, and then they're gone. And so are the colors. And you kind of tumble over on your back and lay there looking up at the ceiling, and you're finding it difficult to stay conscious, because, again, as you mentioned, a concussion is a serious issue. Even if it's a mild one, which this is, it's a serious enough issue. And, yeah, sure.
Okay, so I suppose if she's on the verge of that, she makes an attempt to call out for help.
Okay.
A reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, so she calls out for her parents?
For anyone nearby, really, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but it's just a general call for help.
Yeah.
And you hear a voice that you haven't heard before going, "Oh wow, I think she's cocooning." And one of these strange creatures, these strange little animals, they look a bit like rabbits, a little bit. More like Disney rabbits, really, more than anything else. One of them crawls up on your chest and looks directly at you and reaches down with its front paws to kind of, gently slap your cheeks to make sure you don't pass out.
Well, it's official. Yasmin, she realizes she's going mad. It's so clear to her.
Yes.
It's kind of liberating in a way.
Either that, or you hit your head harder than you thought.
Yes. She sort of reaches up to try and I don't know whether she's trying to even shoo it, or if she's just trying to sort of touch it and see if it's real.
And just as your hand gets close enough where you should be able to touch it, you pass out.
Oh dear.
The next thing that happens is that you wake up back home in your bed with a bandage around your head, and the family doctor has just been there. He's in the doorway. He's talking to your dad. Your mom is sitting next to your bed. She's holding your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor says it's not serious, but she should be in bed for a couple of days, and don't let her read. Don't let her watch the telly. She needs to be, don't turn the lights up to either. She needs rest more than anything else. It's mild, but it is a concussion. And your father obviously responds by saying, of course we'll do everything you say just the way you say it, and so there will be there is no permanent damage, is there? No, the doctor says, not at all. It's a mild concussion, nothing more. Don't worry. And the scrape on her head is so small it'll be healed in a couple of days. And at that news, your mom looks very relieved indeed. And she gives your hand a squeeze, and as she realizes that you're awake, and she says, "What happened? We came into the kitchen and you were out cold on the floor."
I don't really remember. I felt really nauseous, and then I hit my head on the counter, doubling over, and must have done. That's how I got the concussion, and I had to get down on the floor. I was feeling too dizzy. I couldn't keep my head up. I thought I was seeing things.
Well, if you hit your head, having hallucinations isn't. I suppose that's not too unusual, she says, and looks towards the doctor, who is on his way out the door, but he just, he turns his head and shakes his head. No, he says, that's not unusual at all. It's a trick of the mind, nothing else. Don't worry about it. And your mom nods and gets up and says, "Well, I know you've just slept a lot, but the doctor says you need complete rest and quiet, so
Yes, I heard. Sounds incredibly dull."
I think it probably will be, but there is no real way around it, I think. At least you're going to get off school a couple of days.
I suppose. You know that I like to take my school very seriously.
I know, but still, an extra mini holiday, even for reasons like this.
Yes. Yes, I'm a teenager. I should be grateful.
Yes, it gives you an excuse to sleep more.
Well then, perhaps you should leave me to it for a bit then.
I will. We're right down the hall if you need anything.
Thank you, Mum.
And she takes your dad and literally, puts her arm around him and physically hauls him out of the room, because no, I can't leave her. She's clearly hurt, that sort of thing. And
you don't need to worry about me, Papi.
He clearly wants to worry in this situation, and Mom is telling him that he can worry somewhere else, where he isn't disturbing you. And so there you are on your back, and within the next 3 or 4 minutes you are probably bored to absolute tears.
Mm-hmm.
You're not tired because you've just been out cold, so you're not tired or sleepy, but you have there's little for you to do except lie there and try to not think too hard about anything, which is a complete impossibility, because your mind will automatically start working when there's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes it'll take a while like that, no doubt. But could you give us a description of your room, please?
Haha. um, Question. It's quite colourful. It's got it's got a nice little it's got a nice little laptop on the desk in the corner. The bed is lovely. It's got some kind sort of flowery patterns on it. There's a bookshelf with plenty of different books on it.
Yep.
And there's here and there's a few little pieces of paraphernalia from actually from India, which are mementos not only of her father but also of her late grandmother, who
Okay,
Yasmin
so
loved very dearly.
the very occasional little Ganesha figurine or something like that.
Something like that. And there's probably on the desk as well. There's probably a couple of photographs in frames, as old-fashioned as that seems to many teenagers these days, of her grandmother Nandini, and also of her with her parents.
Right. Well, thank you. Well, as you lie there and try desperately to pass the time by passing the time,
Yes.
which is about as dull as it can possibly get, you suddenly hear a noise. It's a small one. It sounds like someone is kind of ringing metal. Like it's being twisted. Metal is being twisted.
Ooh. I reluctantly open my eyes and look around.
Yep. You can see over on your shelf. You can see that the small metal figurine that your grandmother gave you many years ago of Ganesha is in fact currently unfolding himself from the lotus position he's been sitting in for all the time you've had him, and he's stretching his back with a ouch, that's a crimp, ow, 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 okay, I can move, right, oh, there you are. Hello. And he waves.
Hello.
How far down is it from up here? I can't really see.
How far is it? About what, 2-3 feet or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm sorry. Again, being British, I have no idea what measurement would be in meters.
About
so
3
I'm going to have
3
to.
feet is just under 1 meter.
Okay, just under 1 meter. Fine. So say about a meter. I'm going to try and learn to use the metric system, considering that we're going to be setting this in Denmark.
Yes.
So we'll see. Just about a meter to the ground, Lord Ganesha.
Well. Oh yes, that's. I suppose that's who I am. Ooh, clever, very smart. Ooh.
You're telling me you're not?
No, I must be. I mean, look at me. I must be.
Yeah, appearances can be deceiving.
True. It's not that far down. I can jump. One moment.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
1, 2. Oh, I don't like heights. 1, 2. And he jumps over the edge and promptly falls to the floor with a dunk. He is made of metal.
Yes.
And he's now flat on the floor going, ow.
You're made of metal. It shouldn't hurt you.
It did. Ow.
Well, that's just stupid. You're stupid.
I probably am. So, you are brand new, aren't you? You
Well,
are
I'm about.
completely new.
Are you saying I was born yesterday?
Ha! That would be fun. But no, I'm saying you are being reborn right now.
Right. I thought I needed to live my life and seek enlightenment before I got reborn.
Not reborn like that. Not like that. Not quite like that, anyway.
Okay, but that's sad.
Right. Try closing your eyes for just a moment.
Yasmin does.
Right. When Yasmin closes her eyes, what you experience is it's almost an assault of senses. You feel like you are in 10 places at the same time. It's very, very brief. It's only, it's literally the time it takes to, blink almost. You're in 10 places at the same time. You're in India. You're in ancient Persia. You are in Italy. You are 2 places in Denmark. You're 1 place in England, and a few other places that you're not quite sure where are. But you're all of these places at the same time, and in different times. Suddenly, you are riding on a horse. You're riding to escape something, but you're not quite sure what it is, until you look over your shoulder and you see an actual, honest-to-God dragon behind you. And it's not very happy with you. It's inhaling, and you can tell that, down that long throat it's got, there's something very, 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 very hot at the bottom of it. And it's inhaling quite deeply. So you duck lower in the saddle, and the next thing you know is you are holding a curved sword in your hand, and you're fighting across the deck of a sailing ship in pure swashbuckling fashion, basically, against someone. It's against a man that you've never seen before in your life, and he's dressed quite weirdly. Something like out of a TV series or something. He looks a bit like not like a pirate, but certainly like a sailor of olden times. And then you see yourself in the streets of Copenhagen, walking around the streets of Copenhagen, and these are familiar places. You know these places. People are looking at you. Kind of worried from the looks of things. They look concerned.
I look down at myself to see why, if I can.
Well, you're still wearing whatever you wear to bed. So probably your pajamas.
Oh, right.
You are you know where you are in Copenhagen, but you are not close to home.
Right. I probably panic
Probably.
and start to run back home.
Right. And when you do that, you open your eyes. Because again, this has all happened while you had your eyes closed, because Ganesha told you that you should do so.
Yes.
So you open your eyes, and you are lying on a grassy field. Again, it's in one of the parks in Copenhagen. You're exhausted. You're physically exhausted. Your head is still hurting somewhat, but you're pretty sure that you are actually there.
Mm-hmm.
It's nighttime, meaning that there aren't that many people around at this time of day.
Yasmin will sit up and look around her.
Yes. Well, you sit up and you look around, and you realize that no, it doesn't help opening your eyes this time. This is where you are actually at.
Ganesha?
There is no response.
Oh dear.
But you, as you sit there and as you ask for Ganesha, you get bowled over by a squirrel.
Ah!
Oh, sorry, pardon me, sorry, pardon me. It says, and starts picking up 3 nuts that it dropped. 3 acorn.
3 acorns. Why are you in a hurry? And how can you talk to me? You're a squirrel.
Yes, I'm a Oh, you're new, aren't you? Oh, Ooh.
I've been told that. Yes.
You. Ooh. Ooh. I guess I'd better go and get someone. Please don't go anywhere. I'll get some help.
Yeah. I'm quite happy staying here.
The squirrel bolts off, and a little bit later you hear this. Oh, sorry, sorry, oh, sorry, oh, from the squirrel further along. Clearly,
Hmm.
it's bumped into someone else.
Yes. Well, Yasmin is just sort of she's gotten up on her knees and it's just sort of looking quite miserable, really. She's she's having a weird time,
Very
and her
weird
parents aren't
time.
there. She's not in her bed. She's had a visitation from Ganesha, which maybe may not be Ganesha. She's seeing weird things.
Yes.
She knows she knows that this means they're going to take her to some hospital somewhere in the country, and she'll never be let out again.
Yeah, probably. Except it doesn't take more than a couple of minutes or so, and then a young woman arrives. Um, except this is probably the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life. She's got horns and the legs of a goat.
Hmm. Is that is that something that Yasmin might have seen as in like a school book
Yes, yes, you would
somewhere?
definitely have seen images of Pan, or you might even have seen, something like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and seen a satyr or something.
All right. So I know this looks like Copenhagen, but am I actually in Greece or Narnia right now?
um, no, she says. You are actually in central Copenhagen, um, and from the sounds of it, you don't know what's happening.
No,
Okay.
I'm quite concerned.
Mm, I would like to say you shouldn't be, but well, you probably should be, but probably not for the reason you think. Um, First and foremost, it's all going to be all right, and I will help you get home. Um, don't worry about it. Uh,
Thank you.
Not gonna hurt you. Um,
Okay.
um, my name is Maya,
Uh,
and I'm really pleased to meet you. She says and extends a hand.
Nice to meet you too, Maya. I'm Yasmin.
Nice to meet you. You do sound like you're from far away, India or Pakistan?
India, my father is from India. I was born here, but I picked up his accent, you see.
Oh well, if you have heard it all your childhood, then that makes sense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that the she says, okay. Um, First and foremost, she lifts a hoof and wriggles it a little. All of this, I should probably explain all of this, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that would be quite helpful to
All right.
could convince me I'm not actually going completely mad.
First of all, no, you're definitely not going mad. And all of this really is happening. Other people just can't see it. And that didn't come out right because that's gonna make it sound like you are going mad. But no, you're really not going mad. You're really not. It's absolutely not madness. It's something a lot more interesting. Um,
Okay.
first things first, she says, and takes out a mirror from her. She's got a shoulder bag. She takes out a mirror,
Hmm.
and she says, "You should probably see yourself because my guess is you look a little bit different than you are used to." Um, because that's what happens to people like us. But don't worry, you won't get legs like mine or horns or anything. I'm pretty sure I know what you are. But yeah, you should see. And she hands you the mirror.
Okay. Yasmin looks at herself somewhat tentatively.
Yes, and she does in fact have issue features, which of course means um, slightly pointy ears, slightly elongated eyes, um, and your clothes, as you are looking at them right there, they have this shimmer to them, almost like they're made from expensive silk or something.
Wow. It is quite something.
It'll all settle in. Okay, come, let's walk. She says. Where in Copenhagen do you live? I'll take you.
Out of character, please remind me the name of the restaurant, please.
Shahi, but that's in.
Oh yeah, somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah. She
In
wouldn't be
that case,
living in the actual restaurant.
okay. Well then, in lieu of in the absence of me not knowing the address myself,
No.
Jasmin just gives it
Yeah,
to
sure.
yeah.
And she says, okay, fine. We'll make our way there. Now here's the thing. She says, you're you're not really like most people anymore. You've just you've been seeing strange things, haven't you? This is just a guess, but you've been seeing some really weird things.
Oh goodness me! Yes, I thought I was going mad. I saw like little rabbit creatures in the kitchen when I hurt myself, and then this little statue of Ganesha came to life and started, was threw himself off of my shelf, and then there was that squirrel.
Oh, right, yes, the squirrel, and yes, that's called. Those are all called chimera. They're things that we can see, people like us, but that ordinary people can't. But they are real. And she says, in fact, I think the best thing I can do, because we're going to be walking past a place that you need to see sooner or later anyway, and I can probably prove to you better than anything anywhere else that what you are seeing isn't just, it's not just wild imagination and fantasy, and no, you are in fact not going mad. If that's okay with you, it's on the way. We don't have to take a detour or anything.
You're going to take me somewhere I haven't even a chance to change out of my pajamas.
Nobody there will wonder, because you are not the first person to be found in the middle of the city in their pajamas or something they didn't choose the first time this happens to them.
I mean, sure, but it's the principle of the thing. You've got to look your best. But fine, if you obviously know what's best.
I promise nothing bad is happening. She takes you for a relatively short walk, until you end up at a museum, and of course it's late in the evening, so the place is closed. It's been closed for hours. He says, it's in here.
I do hope you're not proposing me break into the museum.
We don't have to break in. It's open for you, for people like you and me. See, she says, and knocks on the door a couple of times in a specific rhythm, and a door within the door slides open, and they're like, it sounds like these great oaken doors just opening up.
Ooh, that is very impressive.
Come along, she says, and she walks inside.
Okay, Yasmin follows.
Yes. And you step into this fantastic museum of, it's a museum of, it's called the New Carlsberg Glyptotek. It's where the ancient collections in Denmark are kept, specifically the Egyptian collections and Roman and Greek statue collections and so on are kept. And as you walk through there, you see a couple of the statues that are standing there. You've probably been there on a school excursion and been bored to tears at some point. And as you walk through the hallways, one of the statues just turns its head and looks down at you. It's an Anubis statue. It looks down at you and goes, "Oh, hello there."
Hello. I I'm afraid I'm lost for words.
Don't worry, many people are the first time they come here. You haven't seen anything yet, trust me. And a couple of the other statues just start snickering a little, and one of them goes, "Oh, there's a new one coming. There's a new one coming. Oh, she's gonna love it." And
Mm-hmm.
Maya takes you through the hallways and until she gets to another great big set of double doors that she pushes open. You
Yes.
realize only a moment before she pushes them open, you realize they're not doors that are normally there. This is an empty wall normally.
Hmm.
But she pushes these great doors open into a into what can only be described as a medieval court straight out of the Narnia books, with fantastical creatures and you know beautiful artwork and more very strange creatures, all suddenly stopping and looking towards the door, all more or less at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
Maya steps in and goes, "Ta-da! Guess what? I just found a new one."
Well, that certainly puts me on the spot. Hello. And there's a sort of tragic little wave at everyone.
And as you do that, a woman walks over towards you. She is about 2 meters and 30 tall and blue.
Mm-hmm.
She's also got horns, and she's just built like a brick shit house. Not to put too fine a point on it.
Mm-hmm. Did I do something wrong?
Not at all, she says, and smiles and extends a huge hand down towards you to shake your hand carefully.
Mm-hmm. It is shaken.
Yes. And she says, "Welcome. Everybody here is a little bit busy, but that I will make sure that the Baroness has time to see you at least." She says, "My name is Reke.
Baroness.
My name is Reke, and I'm really pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, again. My name is Yasmin.
Nice to meet you. It is always confusing at first, believe me, and I know that you probably think that in a few moments you're going to wake up and all of this will just have been a very strange dream, but it isn't. It's not a dream. We
Yes.
here, we are all Fae, as we would call it. In Danish, there's a word for it called skifting. Some
Oh,
call us
yes.
some call us changelings. We
Yes, I
are Well, we are creatures of myth, I suppose, to most people, but as opposed to most myths, we're quite real. And you're one of us.
that's that's amazing and also quite insane.
Yes, it really is. And it'll probably feel that way for a little while yet, but eventually I'm sure you will come around to the notion. Um, so, by any chance, have you had you wouldn't happen to be the one that the dragon chased all the way down through Copenhagen center, was it?
I do remember a dragon. I was riding a horse away from it, and
Oh, right. Well, you see, um, the stock exchange, she says, has a very old spire made up of a number of dragons intertwirling their tails. Except, that's what it looks like to mortals. In reality, they are actually dragons, and once in a while, one of them goes hunting. And I guess one of them went hunting for you tonight. Good thing that you escaped. They're quite vicious.
it's very inconsiderate of them. Why doesn't someone do something about them?
Oh, they have a right to be here as well.
I mean, okay.
There aren't that many dragons left in the world, believe me. Just have to tell
Oh,
it to stop eating people.
oh, I see. It's a conservation matter. Then that's fine.
Yes, exactly. So,
You said I'm going to be meeting a baroness,
yes, yes, please come with me.
and you're certain I don't need to dress more appropriately.
Absolutely certain. She is a wonderful person. She will not in any way. Oh, and by the way, she says and looks at you. You're clearly your issue. You're kind of changeling, you're kind of fae. You have a tendency to make pretty much anything look silken and good.
Okay.
She leads you past a mirror again, and you can
Mhm.
tell that while you know that what you are wearing is just your pajamas, what you are seeing in the mirror is a far more elaborate set of clothing. You're wearing a silk sari.
Ah, I see. And she does slow down and look at herself, and is like, "Oh my! I've dreamed of wearing a dress like this.
It looks good on you.
Thank you. I can't help but agree."
So, she says, let's go, it's this way.
Okay. Yep. Then she will follow on.
Yes, Maya follows as well, by the way, and the little tail stump behind her is just going from side to side so fast it looks like her tail is going to fall off.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you're led into an antechamber where a woman is sitting, a young woman,
Mm-hmm.
specifically this young woman.
Oh, lovely.
And she smiles and gets up and says, like, who is this? Oh, how very fortunate. Someone new. Please be welcome. Have a seat.
Mm-hmm. Yasmin does that. I think she, not really knowing the protocol, I think she tries to do a bow first and before sitting down.
Yes.
Basically, well, Baroness. So.
Yes, and the Baroness does a picture perfect curtsy in return. It's it's taken out of all the protocol books that is how you do a proper courtly curtsy.
Well, I'm going to have to learn how to do that.
And she smiles, and to be perfectly honest, it's nearly blinding. I mean, this is a young woman with a combined 6 dots of appearance in her fey-meen. She looks staggeringly beautiful. And she says, in any case, she says, my name is Elizabeth. My father would be disappointed in me if he heard me say that. He would insist that I introduce myself as Baroness Hardenberg, but but it's not. He's not here, and I'm not feeling particularly formal, especially seeing as you are completely fresh to all of this. No, you must be very confused and probably a little bit scared.
Yes, it has been quite a lot to take in.
I can't blame you. I think it has been for most of us when it happened. Do you have any questions? You probably have a lot of questions, and please, if you don't have all the questions now, people will help you by answering them later. I know Maya is really good at something like that. You're quite fortunate that she's the one who found you.
Okay.
Maya finger waves from over by the wall, looking very pleased with herself.
So, obviously, we have all these different types of Fae, of changeling.
Yes, you've probably seen quite a few of them coming through the room.
Mm-hmm. There's all such wonderful diversity. And if you don't mind my saying so, judging by your appearance, you're some kind of elf, or
Yes, I suppose that would be the conventional translation. We're known by the old Irish word for such a creature. We're called she.
it's Irish, so I imagine it's not spelt the way I'm hearing it.
It is spelled differently. It's spelled Sidhe,
Mm, okay.
but it is pronounced she.
Mm. I've not seen much Irish written down, but it is very confusing.
Very. I
But oh,
only I only know a few words that are relevant to what we are.
and you mentioned your father.
My
You
father
rule
is, yes. Sorry, please.
you rule over all the Fae here in the city or in Denmark or
My father is he is the ruler of all the Fae in Denmark. Yes, he's. It's a long and complicated story, but yes, he is he is Duke Hardenberg, and his name is or his given name is Malachias, but strictly speaking, I'm the only one who calls him that. So if you ever
yes,
meet him, he would be Duke Hardenberg,
yes,
or your Grace.
yes. I imagine that I would have to address him as your grace or something similar.
Yes, he is. He rules the the Fae or the changelings or the Kithane or any of the other terms we call ourselves by. Not just here in Copenhagen, but in all of Denmark, indeed. And he is as I'm sure you can imagine, that makes him a fairly busy man,
But
which is why he's
yes,
not here right now.
and his rule is that of an absolute monarch. Is there some kind of constitutional? Is there like a parliament or something?
Oh, I love the way that these are the first things you think about. There is a parliament of sorts, um, but not exclusive to Denmark. There is a parliament of non-Shi who have an advisory role. There are kings and queens amongst the
Hmm.
Shi. We don't have one in Denmark. Um, our highest ranked noble is my father. We have a
Okay,
duchess as well, but she is not here. She is elsewhere in the city. I'm sure you will meet her eventually. Um, so yes,
okay. Um, Slightly more personal question now. What is going to happen with me regarding my life? You know, with my parents and the restaurant and
yes, that's always one of the questions. What will happen will be fantastic, for lack of a better word, because we are creatures of fantasy and imagination. So everything you will do will in some way be touched by that. Remember that fantasy is not always nice, that there are dark things in fantasy as well. You are fortunate that your first meeting with us has been, I hope, a pleasant one and a peaceful one, but there are dangerous things out there, and we here will help you learn how to function, how to be Fae with everyone else, and how to live your life in a way where you can still balance your old life and this.
okay. Well, that sounds good then.
Nobody is going to make you run away from home or abandon your family or anything of the sort. Not in any way. But you might want to consider that they probably don't know that we exist, and that they would probably not understand if you suddenly started talking to them about the things you've seen here tonight.
I mean, yes, I do see what you mean. It's not going to be. I don't like the idea of keeping things from them, but
You may have to in this case,
yes,
for their sake as well as for yours.
I mean, it's a lot of responsibility all of a sudden. I'm I'm only a teenager, not expecting to have to deal with this sort of thing.
No, no, nobody does when it's thrust upon them, but I have a good feeling about you. I think you're going to do just fine. She says, and
Mm.
she takes out a what's it called? She takes out a cookie from a basket next to her, and as she holds it in her hand, it begins to glow. And she hands it over to you, and she says, "When you wake up tomorrow, after having slept, eat this. There's nothing bad in it. All I have done is give it a little bit of the energy, if you would, of imagination and fantasy. We call it glamour. And it'll help you be less tired, and hopefully it'll also help you, because it looks like you have a scrape on your head. It should help you patch up a little quicker. I hope you're alright."
Yes, I mean, when this all started, I did end up hitting my head on the desk in the kitchen, but
Ooh.
it happens.
Well, yes, it unfortunately it does. But that again, this should help you. Um,
Hmm.
did you get injured when that happened? This. I mean, I can see the scrape on your head, but was there any more serious injury?
No, I just took the scrape. They bandaged me up. I ended up sort of making my way to the floor and lie down to stop the dizziness. But other than that,
Dizziness? Did you have a concussion?
yes, it was. I felt nauseous, and then I hit my head, and then concussion happened.
Oh, right. She says, "Okay, here, you first and foremost do take the cookie, and as I said, eat it when you wake up. But until then," she says, and she holds out a hand for you to take. You know, her palm is turned upwards.
Okay. Yasmin, drawing upon fantasy children's books and similar things, tries her best, to hold the hand in the correct fashion.
Yes,
Take by the fingers, not by the whole.
exactly. And as you do so, her hand glows faintly, and there's a sense of warmth in your hand, and you can see almost little stripes of energy running up your arm, and it feels nice. It feels warm and pleasant, and your headache starts to fade,
Hmm.
and the dizziness goes away. And she says, "Fortunately, some of us, not all of us, but some of us, can cure problems like a concussion. I'll let Maya take you home now, but she will know where you live, and I'll make sure that she goes back to visit you, so that you can learn some more."
Thank you, Elizabeth, for everything.
Hey, you are very welcome. You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
And you.
And at that point, Rege leads you back outside along with Maya, and Maya smiles and does the whole little jumping up and down on the spot and clapping her hands. It's like, she is the nicest person.
So I understand. This,
Ah, I'm glad that you got to meet her. She's really a decent person. Her father can be a little more stuffy.
I mean, the responsibilities of being a good ruler, I suppose.
I suppose. I suppose that's true, yes. Then
Hmm.
we should probably get you home now so that, everything is in order, right?
Yes.
And don't worry if your parents have noticed, that if they when we get you home, don't worry, your parents won't know that you've been out. I'll make sure it won't hurt them in any way. It'll just mean that you won't have 10,000 questions to answer in the morning. I'll just
That's
make them
good.
think that you've been there all along, okay?
I mean, again, I must remind you that I am a teenager. I have snuck out before.
Yes, but you probably haven't snuck out while you had your head injured.
Very true. Thank you
Let's.
thank you as well, Maya, for everything you've done.
No, no problem. She leads you home. From
Hmm.
there, takes you back home, and you manage to get into your own room and into bed without your parents seemingly realizing that you've been gone. When you
Okay.
get in there, Maya just she waves and says, I'll see you,"
See you.
and she takes off.
Yep.
And
By the way,
uh, sorry,
is the Ganesha statue still on the floor?
nope. I was about to say the Ganesha statue has curled up and fallen asleep on your pillow. Clearly, moving that far and getting up into your bed and up onto the pillow was so exhausting that he's fallen asleep.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Oh, oh, right. Ah, you're home. Good.
It's been a
So,
very strange.
please, what? Sorry.
It has been a very strange evening.
Well, I'm sure it'll be stranger still. Maybe not tonight, but yeah, you will see. You will see.
Yes, I need to get to sleep, and then tomorrow I get to eat a cookie for breakfast.
Yes. Ooh, that looks like a nice cookie, he says.
Not for you.
Oh, don't.
You
Can I
make
have
you
can I have a crumb?
okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Yay!
she
Crumbs for
tries a
me.
little piece off, and
Yes.
as long as you move off the pillow.
I move off the pillow. He moves over to
Okay.
the bedside table, and he sits down in his normal posture where he's in the lotus position and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and munches on the cookie and returns to being, for all intents and purposes, a perfectly normal little Ganesha statue.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back to bed, fall asleep, and very soon after, yeah, you are out cold, and that is a good place to stop this.
Hmm. It was very fun.
Yes.
It's good that Ganesha was watching over it. We had an auspicious start
Yes, you did.
to.
A slightly clumsy Ganesha, but still.
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, I wonder if we'll be seeing more of him. I hope we do,
Well,
but
that might happen. That might happen. We'll see.
it might. But that was a very fun little start. Thank you.
No problem. And yes, ladies and gentlemen of the viewing audience, this is how these Chrysalis sessions. This is the format. It might not all be this fun and peaceful, but we will see as we progress. But this is how the format will be, about an hour in length, roughly. And we hope to see you back for more Copenhagen Dreaming with the next of these. And until then, bye.
Bye bye.